Sid Seixerio's Twitter bio proudly proclaims breakfast television. That's all. Beside that blue check mark, and he joins us today again. Good to see you, Sid, as always. And if you don't mind, can we start with your take on the NHL to the Olympics with the current COVID environment? Do you see them going?
No. Good to see you, brother. No.
Yes.
I think Connor McDavid's quote yesterday will be if you're going to write a book on NHLers' quests to go to Beijing, unsettling will be the title. Because if Connor McDavid is the guy who's putting out the strongest language, aside from like the Robin Leonards of the world, I think it's a window into the soul of what the other guys are thinking. And whether you hear Friedman, Merrick, any of the insiders from TS, anybody, they're kind of giving you the same feel. The Olympics are nice, but at what cost? Like for any NHLer that goes to the Olympics right now, you're basically doing it for the gram. Because you're not going to get an Olympic experience at all. Like you're doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. You're literally going to show up so you can say gold or silver or bronze medal in your hockey DB page. That's it. You're not, and in a way I respect that more because that's the level of dedication we're talking about. But at some point, do you not want some level of real Olympic experience? And do you not want this threat of 5 weeks quarantine before you leave China hanging out there? Like I know not everyone's up on the news all the time, but any Canadian traveling to China, considering what the last 3 years have been like, you got to think about that. I don't care who you are. And I'm sure that's part of the equation. I think the quarantine is the big deal breaker. And also not getting paid if you miss games because of quarantine is probably a deal breaker for some of the guys. But Rod, I don't see it. Do you see it?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
No. Well, just if you're drawing up a list of pros and cons, the cons far, far, far outweigh the pros. But the funny thing is, speaking of pros, it's like, well, the NHLers aren't going, so let's send the minor leaguers. Screw those guys. They'll go. I mean, somebody's going to have to put up with this. It just won't be Connor and the big boys.
At some point, you have to organize that, right, Rod? Like at some point,
yeah.
You can't just ask a guy in a week to go to, our guys, you and I, if they asked them in a week, would you go to the Olympics? Yeah, no problem. I'll play for Team Canada. I'll play for Team USA. You still have to give them some level of respect in terms of scheduling. You can't just go to every pro league in Europe and say, all right, let's go. We're having a high-level Spangler Cup. Who's in? You just can't do that. So there's so many questions here. It's fascinating, but I don't think they're going. It
is fascinating, and I don't want to spend the whole time on this, but I will just ask you this. When it came out last week from the meetings here in South Florida, Gary Bettman saying, we're going to leave it up to the players. Sid, I like to take things at face value. I'd like to believe it was just that simple. Not that they're really passing the buck, but let's leave it to the players. Do you think it was that simple? I mean, they had to have been talking about it for months. That's what they ended up with, saying, let's let the players decide. Is it that simple?
I think it is. I haven't agreed with a lot of what Gary Bettman has done in the last 6 months. This is the one where he's right. The players want this. They fought for this. Donald Fehr went to the wall to get this opportunity. Okay. You guys figure it out. How is this one on Gary? Gary and the owners from Jump Street hated this. They fought against this. And if Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews or whoever want to back out, if I'm the league, I don't do them the service of putting my foot down and making sure they save face. No. Hockey players who never give a good quote on anything are going to have to speak to this publicly about their country because they fought for this. So now it's on their plate. I think Bettman's within his right. The owners, I didn't have this. Players now have to speak on it. Let them speak on it.
I think it's great, but I just thought, wow, first time in history that the employers are saying, let's let the employees decide. That never happens. But you're right. They did fight it tooth and nail because of the insurance thing and the injury thing and all the rest. So maybe it is as simple as that. What is your thought? Do you have, and I don't know how much time you spent on this on breakfast television, with these COVID outbreaks in all the major leagues and all the stars, the Greek Freak in the NBA, Darryl Sutter going in with the Flames, Baker Mayfield today with the Browns. Why this week? Why? What happened?
Omicron's here, and it is a nasty little bugger. It is determined. Every epidemiologist who's looking at this has looked at it the same way. This is Delta on steroids. The only good thing, actually, it's a really good thing, is that if you've been vaxxed up, as you guys were kind of talking about earlier, it's the cold and sometimes less. So that is a modern miracle of science. And if there is a silver lining here, it's this. The issue is this thing. I mean, this thing moves around. Like, who was the most traded guy in NHL trade dedeadline history? Give me a name. Who's the one guy who would always get dealt?
Mike Sillinger. This is the Mike Sillinger of viruses.
This is Mike Sillinger of viruses. 100%. You set your clock to it. It will move. And it's moving. And the only issue is, like, you just, at some point, what do you do with the games? To echo what you said earlier, the league they have no idea what to do here. The NHL clearly are first in the firing line here of leagues that might have to shut down a little bit. What interests me, and forgive me if I've missed it, is the Prime Minister and the Feds were set to reportedly make an announcement today on the border. I haven't seen anything. But what I find interesting is how Carolina went through a bunch of Canadian cities. And now you see issues. And if I'm a politician talking about the border, that is a significant thing for me. So I'm just wondering whether the exemptions that were given out to NHL teams, towards the back end of that last season, I don't know where they stand here with something that moves this quickly. We're going to find out. I can tell you this. If you were at Rogers Arena last night, or Rogers Place, or if you were that idiot that threw a jersey in Edmonton, or like wherever you were last night, hope you enjoyed it. Because the one thing I could tell you is fans aren't going to be in the stands for a while. And again, it goes from province to province. It's not a wide making rule by the federal government. I understand that, but get ready. Get ready, because I can tell you right now in Ontario, it's not going to fly. The Sens, Raptors, and Leafs are going to play games, I think, but they're not going to have fans there much longer. It's not a good look, especially if the rest of the province are going to be asked to go into some form of restriction this close to the holiday season. That I can tell you for sure.
Well, Sid, we've reached the end of our time. I wish we had more positive things to talk about, because you're a positive guy. Things good with you, by the way, as we enter the holidays? Things good?
Things are good, actually. I think weather up here in Toronto is going to be the same as what you're getting. We're at 15 degrees tomorrow. What's your forecast?
How about that?
28 degrees here. And oddly enough, COVID doesn't seem to be a thing. Sorry. Sid, Merry Christmas, my friend. I appreciate the time. Thanks for the insights.
Merry Christmas, brother. And to your audience, take care. Everyone stay safe.
There you go. Sid Seixerio from Breakfast Television.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.